Yeah, you still doing this or what? Hardrick says. Yeah, sorry, I just had a few new stat points I needed to spend, I say, as I put my stat device in my pocket. I'm ready now. Now then, let's see if I can find a quick way to deal with this before Hardrick gets too bored to act as my test subject anymore. Remember Araka saying that Darren was using the flow of Hardrick's aura to predict his movement when they were dueling. It might be difficult for me to do the same thing, considering that I didn't get any aura training from Araka, but maybe I can supplement some of her training with the stats from my device. If not, then I suppose I could always try the brute force approach by using my speed to close in on Hardrick and my reflexes to cast a spell at him before he dashes away. As long as I'm close enough, it should be easier to target him, or I could just try to bluff. Yeah, this pretty much tells us what they want us to do. So if you is it there's an aura sensing or Hardrick's aura to predict his movement, flow of Hardrick's aura. I'm guessing that's magical sense, and we already have speed and reflexes, so that's good. I'm gonna try this. Hold on. So let's try to predict Hardrick's aura from his. Wait. What was the last one? Aura hardening. Okay, magical sense. Does it? I cannot bluff him because we don't have aura thing. The other thing, the bluff thing. I can only do predict Hardrick's movements with an aura. Try to get close to Hardrick. I can aim at him easier. These are the only ones I can use. Tell Hardrick that him standing in place would make it harder for me to aim at him. Oh, we could bluff him. No, thank you. Our aura would give it away. So try to predict Hardrick's movement from his aura. Magical sense check successful level 4. Observation check successful level 4. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so there's clearly something going on with his aura just before he dashes in any direction. If only I could figure out a pattern or something that could help me. Wait a minute, I think I got it. The moment is just a theory at best, but I don't have any time to confirm it, so I'm just going to have to go with my gut feeling on this one. It seems to me that the aura around the fingertips of my left hand is getting slightly pulled in the direction that he plans to run towards, briefly before he moves his leg. I also think I might be able to somewhat estimate how far he's gonna go based on how quickly his aura gets pulled in the given direction. He's gonna go based on how quickly his aura gets pulled in a different direction. I doubt it'll be able to get this right on the first try, so I'd better begin now. Adjust my aim gradually with every new attempt. I choose the quickest spell I have in my arsenal, which is very weak dizziness spell that only slightly disorients you for a few seconds, and aim it at the spot where I think Hardrick is about to arrive. I miss my timing about half a second. The spell does not activate. Still, that went much better than I thought it would. After only a few adjustments, I think I should be able to accurately predict where Hardrick is about to go. It takes me 2 more tries, but on the 3rd attempt I managed to calculate Hardrick's exact position in advance, hit him straight on with my dizziness spell, which makes him actually stop on his tracks and place his hand on his head for a few moments. Whoa, Hardrick says. He looks at me. Was that you? Is this a dizziness spell I'm feeling? Oh, the effect's already gone. Well, yes, it's probably the weakest dizziness spell that exists, so it's not exactly very useful, I say. But at least I was finally able to cast a targeted spell on someone, so from my point of view, this experiment was a success. In that case, I'm glad I could help, Hardrick says as he goes to pick up his bottle from the ground. Leaving already? I say with a hint of disappointment in my voice. Yeah, I'd say that was enough fun for one evening, Hardrick says. If you're really in need of more experimenting, maybe we can find a orc patrol tomorrow or something for you to work with. They shouldn't be that hard to find, considering that Tyrant seems to have declared war on literally the whole of Orathia. So he's not gonna kill the animals, right? I mean, he said anything that is not a monster. So what is considered a monster? Are the animals in the holy woods considered monsters? Interesting. Okay. I suppose I say, alright, see you later, Barry. Hardrick tells me, then he leaves. Later I say simply, then I pull out my notebook again so I can get back to cataloging my available spells. About 10 or so minutes later, Araka finally calls me to her so that she can give me my new task. Alright, Barry boy, let's see the fruits of your labor. Araka says, go ahead and shoot a fire arrow at that tree over there. It's not going to work, I tell her. I know what you're trying to do, but it's just not happening. Okay, I'll ask you one more time, Araka says. Did you or did you not cast spells in the ethereal plane by imagining the exact flow and intensity of each individual magical particle, then controlling them flawlessly? Yes, but that is entirely different plane of... A simple yes will suffice, Araka interrupts me. Now, can you think of a spell with an easier flow to control than fire arrow? Not really, but then shut up and do it, Araka says. As long as you do exactly the same thing that you did in the ethereal plane, it will work. Fine, I say, you're the teacher. I then take the appropriate stance and I stretch my arm forward and my palm facing away from me, doing exactly doing everything by the book in order to make sure the Araka can blame me for the inevitable failure of this experiment. So far the particles are not following the proper direction and are going their own way, despite me doing everything correctly. But this was not unexpected. I've already experienced this before on the ethereal plane, and I know how to fix it. All I need to do is follow their direction with my hand, and they will eventually fall into place. What does this mean exactly? So in the ethereal plane, he pulled the individual particles in a specific set, and the way they move he already knew, so he fixed that. So in this one, not following their own and are going their own way, despite me doing everything correctly. But this was not unexpected. I've already experienced this before on the ethereal planes. I know how to fix it. All I need to do is follow their direction. Oh, it's the same thing he did with the aura thing that he just did with Hardrick. They will eventually fall back into place. That's interesting. Haruka says, as the magical particles from my spells are now rearranging themselves into the correct form. I would have expected you to try to force the particles back into the proper position instead of following them. Where did you learn this technique? I learned it from an old hermit, I tell her offhandedly, as I am still focusing on my spell. I don't really remember what his name was. I don't think he ever told me actually. He had skill like this and he lived as a hermit? Haruka says, shocked. What an incredible waste of talent. If I ever get out of this amulet, he'll be one of the first people that I'll take on as my apprentice. Remind me to ask you for his address if I don't end up killing you by then. Yeah, sure, I say, as I'm still casting the same spell. So can I cancel the spell now, or do I still need to keep this up for another? Whoa. While I was thinking, a ridiculously small arrow made of fire shot out of my hand, went straight for the tree that was targeting. The flaming projectile hit the tree head on, but the intensity of it was so low that it barely made a scorch mark on the tree's bark before getting extinguished completely. It worked, I say excitedly. I can't believe it actually worked. You're a genius. Of course I'm a genius, Haruka says. Did you seriously expect anything less from a spirit who killed half of the gods on the magical plane? I swear I'll never doubt you again, I say. Wow, I'm still in shock. This is simply unbelievable. No, Luna says, looking at me as if I've gone completely mad. What is unbelievable is that the two of you are getting excited over a fire spell that couldn't even burn the bark of a tree. 2 whole days of following Haruka's nonsensical instruction, this is the result. How can you not see that she's making a fool out of you? From his perspective, he can't even use magic. He just casted a fucking spell in the material plane, like an actual offensive spell. That's insane for him. If I could do the Expecto Patronus, was it the light spell? I mean, if I could light up my fingertips, that would be crazy. That would be not interesting to someone who could do it, do it all. But to me, that would be fucking insane. Did you seriously? Yeah. Non-signal. Why would she be making a fool out of me? I ask Luna, confused. Every part of her training so far has made perfect sense. You got to be joking, Luna says. Just a short while ago, I was watching you literally bang your head against a tree 1,000 times in a row. You're really trying to tell me that this had anything to do with you. What? You're really trying to tell me that this had anything to do with you learning magic? Of course, no, of course not, I say. It has nothing to do with me learning magic. Then why would you do it? Luna asks, looking as if she's finally losing her cool. Because he's a generalist, Haruka says. He's the only one in this group who understands enough magical theory that I don't need to jump through hoops to make him follow my instructions. No matter how idiotic and nonsensical they may seem to the rest of you, he may have disagreed with how well my training would work in practice, but he knew that there were no flaws in the theory behind it. He would have never accepted to do any of this otherwise. Yeah, I say, the whole thing with hitting my head against the tree so that I could imprint my aura onto it and make it an easier target for my spell was something that I tried to do many years before I could use magic. It's not really a well-known method of training because it's hard to take seriously, but it can have an immense positive effect on mages with very weak magical power who can't learn to cast spells any other way. But why would you need to go through all this trouble now when you can already cast magic, Luna says. Why not simply cast it through the use of your stand device? Fire Arrow is not on his list of spells, Haruka says. That was the whole point of this exercise. I made him cast the easiest spell that couldn't possibly included in the device because his stat booster was invented over 600 years ago and the Fire Arrow spell was only created 100 years and only created 100 years later, so 500 years ago. I don't think you understand how much of a leap forward this is. Until now, Barry was under the impression that casting everything other than the spells included in his device was fundamentally impossible. Now that we have clearly established that he can cast other spells as well, this has opened up an infinite amount of new options for him. With enough practice, he might be able to learn to cast some of the special spells designed by me, and hell, maybe even primordial spells. It's only a matter of time at this point.